debate Brexit for hours and days on end, some of the most vulnerable people in our country are suffering. Every minute of every day, somebody in dire poverty is suffering the humiliation and fear of a bailiff banging on their door. In about 300,000 cases a year, the bailiffs break the rules. Self-regulation is not working. They may send strings of texts through to the person concerned, threatening that the whole debt must be paid immediately or else. None of that is legal, and none of that will be resolved by body-worn cameras. The Justice Select Committee reported on the bailiff problem in April and recommended an independent regulator. 20 organisations have worked for 2 years on this and came to the same conclusion. Will the Minister be so kind as to meet at least 2 of the main experts and myself to discuss the best way forward on this very tricky issue?
My Lord, we do appreciate the work done by the Justice Select Committee, which they published in April 2019, and have taken up some of their recommendations already. As regards the number of complaints, there are discrepancies over the numbers, but that may in part be explained by difficulties that some people perceive in actually following through on complaints. We are concerned where enforcement officers do not comply with the law and with regulations. But we have to remember that there are not only a group of people out there who are can't pays, there's a very large group of people out there who are won't pays. And individuals and small businesses do need the ability to recover money that is lawfully due to them. I will, of course, be happy to meet with the noble lady and with her experts and associates to discuss the matter further.
Well, of course, creditors are entitled to take steps to obtain money properly due to them. Would the noble and learned Lord agree that what is not legitimate is the harassment and bullying behaviour that are perpetrated by some bailiffs and by some of the profit-driven organisations that employ them? Will he go beyond an expression of concern and tell the House more fully what the government intends to do to improve this culture and to make sure that those bailiffs who do commit excesses are brought to book?
My Lords, there are regulations in place. There are those, a minority, who do not comply with those regulations. The position at the present time is that there are about 2,500 civil enforcement agents. They have to appear before a county court judge every 2 years, where their conduct will be the subject of consideration. And we are looking at the question of further regulation, and we are looking at means of ensuring that a small minority of enforcement agents do not break the law. But clearly, we do not condone aggressive and inappropriate behaviour, no matter what the circumstances may be.
My Lord, the government is publicly committed to ensuring that enforcement agents treat debtors fairly, responsibly and proportionately. The proposed breathing space scheme and the government's civil enforcement project, and indeed the Minister's answers so far, suggest they also agree on the need for a sympathetic approach to problem debt. Will the government therefore now consider requiring enforcement agents to advise debtors of the availability of the breathing space scheme and of debt management assistance more generally? And is the government now more receptive to the call of many for independent regulation of all enforcement agencies?
It would be premature to commit on a matter that is still under consideration by the Ministry. We are, of course, in a position where we have introduced the breathing space scheme, but or propose as a manifesto commitment to introduce the breathing space scheme, which will give debtors a period of 60 days in which interest charges on their debts are frozen and in which they can seek further advice. We've also established the Money and Pension Services in January 2019, merging 3 former organisations in order to provide free-to-use financial guidance for those who find themselves in debt.
My Lord, I should say that Para 14 of Magna Carta undertakes to halt unreasonable and unfair bailiff entry behaviour. So do we not need to proceed rather carefully on this matter?
I bow to the noble Lord's detailed knowledge of Magna Carta on this point.